Tesla owners love their vehicles, but one of the things many Tesla owners wish their vehicle could do would be to export power so they could power their home, power other small electrical devices, say when they're at a tailgate or camping or something like that. Tesla allows the Cybertruck and also the new Model Y Performance to offload power, but none of their other models can do that. So third-party companies are coming up with devices to take the power from the battery. Now, as long as it's done with a well-engineered device, it's completely safe. It doesn't harm the vehicle at all. And if you watch the channel here at State of Charge, you may have seen about 6 months ago, I did a video on a product from RoamEnergy that was just that. They called it their EV Discharger, and it allowed you to pull up to 3,500 watts of AC power from your Tesla vehicle. Now, the problem, if you want to say, with that device was it's very low power. 3,500 watts isn't a tremendous amount of power. Let's say if you wanted to power your home, it's not enough. You could certainly tailgate and camp and everything with 3,500 watts. That's 3.5 kilowatts. But also, it only had 2 outlets. There were 2 NEMA 515 outlets, 120 volts, so you couldn't power anything with 240 volts. But now, RoamEnergy is back with their second generation product. This is what they call their Pro model. And they transitioned from calling it the EV Discharger to the PowerBridge. And this model that I have here today is called the PowerBridge Pro. And that's because this unit also will export 240 volts up to 7,500 watts. It still has the 220 volt outlets, but those are now NEMA 520s instead of NEMA 515s. So they can deliver up to 20 amps of power. And you also get a NEMA 1450 outlet that can deliver up to 32 amps of power. So what we're going to do is take a first look at this unit here today. We're going to unbox it now. I'm going to compare it to their first generation product, and then we're going to try it out on my friend's Tesla. So with that said, let's first open the box and see what comes inside. All right, so she's out of the box. Here's the unit. It basically looks pretty much the same as the first gen, which we're going to compare in a second. It's got a 6-foot long cable with a NACS connector on the end. It's got a nice display screen here on the front. We'll see how that works later on. The first gen unit also had a small display screen on the side, but it really didn't display much. You can see on the front here, it's got the 2 NEMA 520 120 volt outlets. There's a bunch of buttons here on the bottom. Not sure what they do. We'll figure that out later. And on the rear, let's see this. On the rear here, you can see there's 2 USB-C ports. Unfortunately, these will not power anything. I really wish they would. I wish you could also charge cell phones and stuff from this. I mean, you could on the plug on the front, but there's no direct USB-C plug to power anything. What these 2 things do here is, one of them you can use to plug the unit into a 120 volt outlet. If the internal battery dies, there's an internal battery on this that's used for startup. The previous version, you had to plug it into the 12 volt of a car, and that's how it would charge the internal battery enough so then it would turn on and you can use it. I saw that as definitely one of the flaws on the first unit. I'd much prefer to be able to bring this thing inside my house if I know it's been a while since I've used it and the battery might be dead, and plug it into a regular wall outlet and charge that battery up. You can do that now. And they even provide a USB-C cable in here for you to do that. And the other USB-C port is used if you need to do some sort of a software update, I believe. I'm going to fully read the instructions and everything in a minute. Literally, I just unboxed this thing, so I'm learning as we go along. But I believe that's what that's for. There's an Ethernet plug in here. From what I understand, that is not used at all by the end user. It's something that they use in the factory. There's a toggle switch here, a 3-setting switch. You're supposed to leave it on the middle setting. But if you're having a problem and for some reason the device or whatever that you're trying to power doesn't work, I'm told to flip it to the number 1 position, which is on the left of the unit. And that could be if the device you're trying to power is having a problem because it's not finding a ground, or it's reading that there's no ground. That's supposed to solve that problem. Position number 2 is not for used in North America. That's for European market. So you'd either, if you're here in North America using this, you'd either have it on the center position, which is what, from what I understand, should work almost all the time. But if there's some sort of an issue and whatever you're trying to power doesn't seem to want to talk with the unit, you flip it over to that 1 position and supposedly it will work. I'll try to find something that doesn't work. From what I understand, talking to RoamEnergy, it's very rare, so I probably won't be able to find something. And then there's what looks like a power, an inlet for a power cable to plug in, but there's no power cable that came with it. So again, I'm not sure 100% what that is for. Below there is a micro USB card, and there's one in there. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Here is the NEMA 1450 plug for the 240 volt use of this unit. I believe this thing comes off. Let me see here. This goes, should snap in. There you go. It snaps in, it locks in place automatically. And now you've got your NEMA 1450 plug, but again, this only put out 32 amps. Okay, over here we have the quality control certificate saying that it's been inspected, and also the warranty card. You want to fill that out and send it in so you have a warranty. As I mentioned, there is a USB-C cable. There's also a USB stick with a micro USB slot. So I'd imagine if there's some sort of a problem with the unit, I know this was the case with the first model. I think they recommended taking this out, plugging it in here, putting it on your computer, and then uploading it to Roam so they can try to figure out what was going on. But again, I'll double check that. And then the user manual. So it's pretty simple. There's no assembly required except to plug this guy in if you want to use the 240 volt output. And before we start using this unit here, I'm going to get the original unit, the lower powered one, 3500 watt, 120 volt version. Let's just sit them side by side and compare what changes RoamEnergy has made. All right, so here is the new PowerBridge Pro that can export 120 volts as well as 240 volts. This is the original RoamEnergy Discharger is what they used to call it, but now it's called the PowerBridge. This is the PowerBridge Pro, and this is the regular PowerBridge. Okay, you can see on the front, there's 2 NEMA 515 outlets, which are 15 amp outlets. This has 2 NEMA 520 outlets, so they're 20 amp outlets. And this one on the back has the port for the 240 volt. This does not. This pretty much just has that power inlet I was talking about before, and the inlet for the micro card, which this has also. This also has that 3-position switch, the same that we have over here if there's some sort of compatibility. The Ethernet connection. The fan is in the back, but the Pro now has the inlet for the NEMA 1450 plug. Let's take a look at the sides. Pretty much nothing. This one has an additional venting, which this unit doesn't have. This one, well, actually, this one does have some venting on the front, and I don't think this one. Yeah, this one, a little bit above the power screen there. We've got a little bit of venting above the power screen, but not much. So they have to put that extra venting in there to get some air. What else do we have? We got the power buttons on the bottom of this one. This one, there's no buttons at all. You've got a little screen on the side, but as I said earlier, really didn't display much information. I'm interested to see what this will display and exactly what you get with this screen. Hopefully you get the power output and voltage and all that stuff, which I really couldn't get from the original one, which was a little bit of a disappointment. They weigh about the same, to be honest with you. The size is the same, the packaging's the same, but this one can put out a lot more power, at least suck a lot more power out of your Tesla. The Tesla is actually what's putting it out. All right, well, next up now, let's take a look at the key features of the new Pro, and then we'll jump into the review. The RoamEnergy PowerBridge Pro will have an MSRP of $24.99 when it's available. It's not available yet, it's in pre-orders. And for a limited time, you can get a $900 saving and order it for only $15.99. I'll give you details later in the video with a special code that I have. It can put out 120 volts or 240 volts. It's switchable. We'll get into that later. The maximum output on 120 volts is 3,500 watts or 30 amps, and on 240 volts, it's 7,500 watts, which is 32 amps. It weighs about 10 pounds. The dimensions are 11.75 inches long, 5 inches wide, and 5.25 inches high. As for compatibility, this currently only works with Tesla vehicles, and that's Tesla vehicles with CCS compatibility. Tesla started making their vehicles in 2021 with CCS compatibility, but older Teslas can still work with this. You just need to get the CCS retrofit, which Tesla service centers can install on your vehicle if you have a vehicle that's older than 2021. The unit is not water resistant. This isn't something you could leave outside in the rain. Unlike the original 120 volt version, the new PowerBridge Pro does come with a mobile app. It has automatic overcurrent shutdown. The display shows real-time voltage and current. It has a low battery cutoff, which is adjustable. I'll show you how to adjust it later in the video. The operating temperature is 14 degrees Fahrenheit to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is -10°C to 40°C. The unit is not safety certified. It hasn't gone through any formal NTRL safety certification. It comes with a 1-year warranty and it's made in China. Okay, so first up, we're going to do a 120 volt test. And for that, I have two devices. First here is my heater. If you watch some of my EVSE review videos, you'll see this when I do the extreme heat test. I use this to heat the units up to over 120 degrees to test their robustness in extreme hot weather conditions. This unit here needs 1,500 watts. On this side here, I've got a Cuisinart convection oven. This takes 1,800 watts. So together it's 3,300 watts, just under the 3,500 watt max that the unit can discharge from 120 volts. All right, so first let's turn it on. And to do so, it's not as easy as you might think. And this is by design. You can't just press the on button once, it won't turn on. And RoamEnergy did this so that if something, let's say, accidentally bumped into it, if it was in your trunk, for instance, people might leave this in their car, the unit won't turn on and then deplete the internal battery. So in order to turn it on, you first have to press the button quickly, then press it a second time and hold it in. You'll hear a beep and then it's on. At this point, you don't want to plug it right into the Tesla yet, because while it does say device on, you want to wait until it says PowerBridge ready. And let's see here, there it goes, PB ready. Once it says PB ready, now you can plug it into your Tesla. Now, in the first video, if you watched it, I made a comment that the button on the Tesla connector doesn't open the charge port door, and I chalked that up as a fail. RoamEnergy reached out to me and said, it's not designed to do that. It won't do it. So it wasn't that the unit was malfunctioning, it just doesn't do that. So you have to manually open your Tesla charge port. Now, once I plug in a few seconds, it should go to a blinking purple light, and then I should get the green light, the green blinking light, which means that the vehicle believes, and there we go, blinking green Tesla light. The vehicle now thinks it's DC fast charging. So that's how the unit can pull energy out of the battery. Okay, so first, let's plug in the 1,500 watt heater. Turn it on. Now we'll see, yep, and it's going up 1.4. Right now it's saying it's drawing 1.5 kilowatt, which is 1,500 watt, and the unit is starting to turn on. You probably can see it there. It's probably glowing orange now. So the heater is on. Next up, let's see how the Cuisinart oven works. Okay, so that's plugged in. Let me go around and I will turn it on. Well, it is powered up, so it's getting power. And I will turn it on to baking at 350 degrees. How's that sound? Start. Okay, now it's jumping up 3.6, 3.5, 3.6. It's saying it's 3.5. It's probably because it might be like a starting surge. Both of these units are powering up. So, and 3.6, 3.4. So it's right up against the limit of what the unit is supposed to be able to deliver with 120 volts. And it's working. Both the units are powering up. I can hear the fans running inside the RoamEnergy unit. So it's working to cool. And inside the Tesla, I've already tested this. When I did my last video, I didn't show any video of what the screen shows inside the Tesla because it really doesn't show anything. It doesn't show the power that's being drawn. It just says charging without much information there. So, but I will make sure that you got a screenshot in this video because a lot of people commented on my last video. I want to see what the screen says, and that's my fault. I should have showed it, but since it didn't show anything, I was like, there's nothing there to see. But I should have realized people would have wanted to see exactly what it shows. Okay, so now it's down to 3.4. No, it's still bouncing up between 3.4 and 3.6. The oven is warming up. I can see it inside there. It's getting hot. This is still on. So as you can see, it's an incredibly useful device if you're away from home. I'm sure I'm right here in my driveway, but I might as well have been out in a parking lot during some sort of a tailgating event or camping or whatever. That's a lot of power. These two units, I specifically picked them because they're very heavy draws. Most of the things you would use, you know, at a tailgating event or even camping are going to draw less power than these, or maybe as much, but typically not more. This can power a lot of things, and it's extremely useful at 120 volts. But for me, the real beauty of this is the 240 volt option, which we're going to do next. I'm actually going to pull my F-150 Lightning here, and we're going to have the Tesla charge my Lightning. All right, so now it's time for the 240 volt test. Now for that, we actually have to set the unit to 240 volts because it was set for 120 volts. And this is something that you have to be very careful with, because when the unit is set to 240 volts, if you plug something into the 120 volt outlets, they'll get 240 volts. So you have to be very careful when you use this unit. Every time before you use it, you'll check the settings to make sure it's set to the voltage that you want it to deliver, okay? Be very clear with that, because bad things happen if this is set for 240 volts and you plug a 120 volt appliance into it. Okay, so let's get started. Press once, press it again and hold it. We got the beep. And now I'm going to toggle through the settings to set it to 240 volts. Now I'm going to set it at 230 volts at 60 hertz. You'll notice there's another setting, 230 volts at 50 hertz. That's what Europe uses. Here in North America, we use 60 hertz. You'll also notice that it says 230 volts. This is a pre-production model that is going to be changed to 240 volts. Right now it just shows 230 volts because that's what Europe uses. But when they start selling these in a few months, that'll say 240 volts at 60 hertz, and then the European toggle will be 230 volts at 50 hertz. Okay, so now I have it set to 240 volts at 60 hertz. Now let's plug it into the Tesla. Purple light, purple blinking light, green blinking light, good to go. Okay, so what we're going to do here is charge my Ford F-150 Lightning using the Lightning's portable charger. I already plugged in the NEMA 1450 plug here in the back. So now let me get my portable Ford charger all set. Okay, the NEMA 1450 plug is plugged in. Now we're going to plug it in here. Okay, and now we'll plug her in. Let's see what's happening here. 2 amps, 4 amps, 5 amps, 7 amps, 9, 12, 16, All right, so it's ramping up. I can also check with my Ford app. I want to see how much power is going into it. Charging. Right now it's saying the charging rate is 5.7 kilowatt. This right now is showing 28 amps. Now it's showing that it's delivering 6.5 kilowatts, but my Ford Pass app is only saying 5.7. Let me see if I can refresh it. Sometimes this thing lags. I love my Lightning. The Ford app and infotainment leave something to be desired. Definitely not up to Tesla spec on that. All right, well, it's still showing that it's getting 5.7 kilowatt to the battery. So there's always some charging losses, but that seems like a little much. 6.5, 5.7, 0.8 kilowatt. I'm not sure if this is exactly accurate, if that's exactly accurate, but it's charging. And it says that it's delivering 28 amps at 225 volts. So I'm actually going to leave this charge for a little bit just to make sure that nothing happens. It doesn't shut off after a few minutes. I'm only going to let it charge for about a half an hour, but I just want to make sure that it will continue to deliver power for, you know, a good 30 minutes at least. It should, if it delivers power for 30 minutes, it should be able to continue delivering it longer than that. But we'll see how this works out. We'll check back in 30 minutes to make sure the truck's still charging. All right, well, it's actually 40 minutes later. I let it go for another 10 minutes for good measure, and the Tesla is now down to 40% state of charge. Pretty sure it was 46 when we started, right around there, and no problem at all. It's been charging my Lightning for 40 minutes. I don't really think we need to go on any farther. I think it'll just continue to work until it hits the set point that I have at 10% of the Tesla's battery. It would stop charging. We'll talk a little bit about that once we get back inside the state of charge garage. But for now, it passes both the 120 and 240 volt tests. And for the last test, let's see what happens when we overdraw what the unit can put out. Now at 240 volts, it can put out 32 amps. I have my EVco charger hooked up. This is a 48 amp charger. Now it's set for only 40 amps because I have it set to be a plug-in unit to plug into a NEMA 1450 outlet. That's a 50 amp circuit, so the maximum output is 40 amps, but it still should be overdrawing what the PowerBridge is allowed to deliver. So let's see what happens when it overdraws its limits. So I have a camera set up here on it so we can watch what happens. It's starting to pull. It's at 2 amps. Okay, as it started ramping up, it got to only about 8 amps and we've got a red light here. So either the unit signaled that it was the vehicle was calling for too much power and it shut off, or the EVco charger itself said that it doesn't like the power that it's getting from the unit. So I'm not sure exactly which one happened, but it did shut off charging and now it's remaining red. I wonder what happens if I unplug it and plug it back in. Let's see what happens when this powers up. Okay. It is charging. And this is starting to ramp back up now. Nope, shut off again. So, okay, I'm not sure which of the two devices realized that something wasn't copacetic, but it did work. It shut off charging and it didn't overdraw the unit. If I had some other device in my household that I could plug in on the 240 volt side to test it, I would, but I really don't. I did test it on the 120 volt side. I actually have a log splitter, and I plugged it in along with the heater and the convection oven, and it turned on just fine. But as soon as it started applying pressure to split the log, it began to draw more current and overdrew the unit, so everything just shut off. All three of the units shut off. So I waited, unplugged everything, plugged everything back in, tried it again, and the same thing happened. It began working, and then it just shut off. You don't get any warning on the screen. The unit just stops delivering power. I mentioned earlier that the PowerBridge allows you to set a low state of charge point so it won't continue to draw energy from your Tesla's battery when you hit that point. And the way you adjust that is to go into the settings the same way you would adjust the voltage from 240 volts to 120 volts. And you click on the lower part of that setting screen. You can then adjust the low point from 0% state of charge all the way up to 100% state of charge. Now, I don't know why it allows you to go up to 100% state of charge, because if you set it at that, the unit would never be able to turn on and ever discharge energy. So I would imagine people are going to set it somewhere between 50% and 5%. They allow you to do it in 5% state of charge increments. So that's how you set that and set the low point so you don't accidentally completely drain your Tesla's battery. And speaking of your Tesla's battery, as I mentioned earlier, this unit is only compatible with Tesla vehicles that are CCS enabled. In late 2020, I think around October 2020, Tesla started making its vehicles capable to speak CCS language. And this unit needs that capability to talk to your Tesla. So how do you know for sure if your Tesla is CCS enabled? Well, for that, you have to go into the vehicle settings, then go to controls, then click on software, and then click on additional vehicle information. In there, you want to see if it says CCS and third-party NACS DC charging enabled. If it says that, you're good to go. And if you have a Tesla, any model that's later than a 2021, it will have this. You don't even have to check. The rub is on 2021 model year Teslas. Some of them were made before October of 2020, and those vehicles don't have the CCS enabled in them. What you have to do then is have Tesla retrofit it. The good news about that is it only costs somewhere around $225 to $300 from Tesla. Tesla used to charge $450 for older vehicles to be CCS enabled. But your Tesla service center can do that for your Tesla if it's older than 2021. It's going to cost somewhere between $225 and $300. Not really too expensive. And with that, then you could also use CCS DC fast chargers. It's not just so that you could use this device. You can also now use, with an adapter, other networks of DC fast chargers out there. There's also an app now for the PowerBridge Pro. It doesn't work with the PowerBridge Standard, but RoamEnergy is putting out an app. It's currently only available on iOS. It's not available for Android yet. And I use Android devices, so I couldn't download it and check it out and show you guys, but there will be an app available on both iPhone and Android where you'll be able to pair it with the device, watch real-time data, and control the device through your smartphone app. This new second generation of the PowerBridge Pro, is, in my opinion, a huge step forward compared to the original, they called the Discharger. Now it's the PowerBridge Standard, because of the fact that it does 240 volts. The original version was a very useful tool for camping and even job sites. You could power a whole array of electrical devices away from your home. But now, this unit now, really, with 240 volt power up to 7,500 watts, is it a perfect device? It's not perfect, nothing is. I don't like the fact that it's not safety certified, that it doesn't have one of the major safety certification labs stamp on it like a UL or a CSA or an ETL. I did talk to RoamEnergy about that, and they gave me an official statement regarding safety certification for the device. And it goes as follows. We are currently in the process of completing multiple certifications. By the time the product is delivered, it will be fully tested and certified. The product has already been submitted for testing, and we expect the test reports around May. The testing and certification work includes ICR 186, CE, RoHS, FCC, and third-party lab testing based on UL standards. We have also purchased a large testing system to run more extreme validation tests, and we plan to publish real test videos on our website so customers can see more data for reference, including extreme temperature testing, extreme overload testing, and sustained high load testing. I haven't heard any problems with anybody having with the first generation RoamEnergy device, and they sold, I think, close to 30,000 of them in Europe and a bunch in the US. I also have never heard of Tesla having an issue. I know when I made the first video, some people said, oh, Tesla's going to have a problem with your warranty. They're going to say, we void your warranty if you use something like this. I don't think they even care that people are doing this. It's not damaging the car at all. It's just pulling electricity out of it. It's not doing anything damaging to the car. If anything, you can make an argument that it's making you cycle the battery more if you're going to start pulling energy from the battery. If you would use this thing every day and constantly, charge the car, then pull energy out of it, I would imagine there'd be additional wear and tear. But for the limited use that people are going to use these devices, it won't make a difference with your battery at all with degradation and longevity. And the fact that it's got the adapter, NEMA 1450 adapter for the 240 volt, that's really the huge game changer with this device. I mentioned earlier that this was a prototype. I received it a couple of months before RoamEnergy started producing their final version for customers, which they are beginning to do now. It's not available to purchase yet. You can purchase the PowerBridge standard from the RoamEnergy website, but the new PowerBridge Pro isn't available yet. It's going to launch as a Kickstarter program on April 14th, which we may have this video go live on April 14th, maybe slightly before, but you could also be watching this video months after it had been produced. So it's going to be a Kickstarter program. You can reserve one for $5. And the Kickstarter program is going to run for 1 month, from April 14th to May 13th. And there is an incredible incentive to sign up and get one now if you want one. And that's because RoamEnergy is going to give $900 off the unit. This is going to retail for $24.99. It's $2,500. It's an expensive item. But if you join the Kickstarter program, you get $900 off. And they're going to sell them for $1,599, $1,600 for 30 days. If you compare it to other devices and portable generators, it's not that bad. And the fact that this is so small and you could take it with you in your car and always have exportable power. You could charge another electric vehicle if you see somebody stranded. Like I said earlier, there's so many different uses. You could take it to a campsite, to tailgating, job sites, whatever. And you can always pull power from your Tesla's battery, in addition to being able to power your whole house. So yes, it's not cheap, but it's not a terrible value when you consider everything that it can do. There's some good tech in these devices here, and they actually provide a pretty good service for you. There's a lot of things you could do to use them. So if you're thinking about buying one, think about that hard now, because you could save $900 on the Pro if you join the Kickstarter program. This is a game changer that it can supply 240 volt power up to 7,500 watts, in my opinion. All right, well, that's all I have today on the first look at the PowerBridge Pro from RoamEnergy. I'm going to continue to use it. If I find out any other additional information on it, or if I have a problem or whatever, I'll throw out another video as a follow-up. But for now, the unit works as advertised. I've used it quite a bit, haven't had any problems with it. And I think it's a really interesting unit that allows you to use all that stored energy in your Tesla's battery pack. All right, well, that's all I have here today. Thanks for watching.